Modern Family is a sequel to Married with Children. This theory claims Ed O'Neill's character evolution tells a complete story spanning decades. Al Bundy from Married with Children had a blonde daughter named Kelly and a son named Bud, who struggled to fit in. Flash forward to Modern Family, where Jay Pritchett is on his second marriage after his first didn't work out, and he has a blonde, successful daughter Claire and a son Mitchell, who took years to come out as gay. Fans noticed both characters read the exact same prop newspaper in scenes from both shows. The theory suggests Jay is Al Bundy, who finally got his life together, divorced Peggy, found success with his closet business, and rebuilt relationships with his now adult children. Claire and Mitchell are grown-up Kelly and Bud, living productive lives. Jay's grumpy demeanor and difficulty expressing emotion mirror Al's cynicism aged into wisdom. Even his relationship with Phil parallels Al's disdain for authority, though softened by maturity. The theory reframes Modern Family as a redemption story, showing what happens when a struggling family finally breaks their cycle. Alex is actually adopted. This theory argues Alex's intelligence doesn't match anyone in her family, suggesting she's not biologically theirs. Phil is lovably clueless. Claire is smart, but not genius level. Haley and Luke are both academically challenged. Then there's Alex, who's accepted to Caltech, fluent in multiple subjects, and intellectually superior to everyone, including her lawyer, Uncle Mitchell. The theory points to how the family often treats her as an outsider, forgetting about her achievements while obsessing over her siblings' minor accomplishments. Phil once compared her to a self-cleaning oven because she's so self-reliant, as if she raised herself. In one episode, Alex even convinced Luke he was adopted as a joke, but maybe she was projecting her own suspicions. Jay tells Alex she'll be the family leader one day, not Claire or Mitchell, as if he knows something others don't. Her physical appearance also differs from both sisters. The theory suggests Phil and Claire adopted her as a baby, possibly after fertility issues between Haley and Luke, and never told anyone. This explains why they emotionally neglect her compared to their biological children, why she connects more with Mitchell than her own parents, and why she's always felt like the odd one out. Jay built his empire through organized crime. This theory claims Pritchett's closets and blinds isn't as legitimate as it seems. Look at Jay's lifestyle. The mansion, the cars, the country club membership, all from installing closets. The math doesn't add up. Multiple times when someone threatens to call the cops, Jay strongly discourages it and redirects the situation. His best friend Shorty is played by Chaz Palminteri, an actor famous for playing mobsters, and their character acts exactly like a retired gangster. They meet on golf courses and in places that can't be wiretapped. Jay never actually works. He just shows up occasionally to the business Claire runs. The theory argues Jay got seed money from the mob in his younger days, possibly as a loan shark or doing favors for connected people. He built his business as a front to launder money, which explains its improbable success. The closet business itself is symbolic because Jay keeps secrets locked away, and he's literally been helping people hide things for decades. His relationship with Gloria, a much younger woman from Colombia, raised eyebrows, but nobody questions where a closet installer gets that kind of wealth. Shorty knows everything, but stays quiet out of loyalty. Jay's paranoia about police involvement and his ability to make problems disappear suggest he's still connected to shady networks even in retirement. The documentary is adult Luke's film project. This theory suggests the entire show is a documentary made by Luke as an adult, looking back on his childhood. In early episodes, Luke is obsessed with filming things and making videos. The theory explains why Luke appears so dumb throughout the series, because he's narrating his own childhood from an adult perspective, exaggerating how clueless he was for comedic effect. Notice how the camera follows Luke more than any other character and focuses on his perspective in crucial moments. He's the only character who never breaks when weird things happen, almost like he's in on the joke. The documentary never reveals who's filming because it's future Luke, and he doesn't want to break the fourth wall of his own project. He interviews his family members in talking head segments, asking them to relive moments from his childhood. His whole family participates because Luke asked them to, turning their chaotic history into art. This explains why everyone tolerates the constant camera presence without questioning it. The show's title, Modern Family, fits because adult Luke is showing how his unconventional family was actually perfectly modern. His journey from the dumbest kid to a successful filmmaker mirrors Alex's arc, proving he wasn't as stupid as everyone thought. The theory frames the entire series as Luke's love letter to his family. The show is actually court-ordered family therapy. This theory argues every talking head interview is actually actually a therapy session mandated by Jay to keep his fractured family together. Think about it. 3 separate families all agreeing to be filmed constantly makes no sense, unless there's a reason. The theory suggests Jay, worried about his age and legacy, hired a family therapist and required everyone to attend sessions. Each episode's confessional moments are them talking to the therapist, explaining their actions and feelings. The scenes we watch are flashbacks and reenactments of stories they're telling in therapy. This explains why characters often seem aware they're being watched, but never acknowledge the camera crew because there is no crew, just a therapist's office. Jay's fear of dying and leaving his family divided drives his insistence they all participate. Mitchell and Cameron's adoption struggles, Phil and Claire's marriage problems, Gloria and Jay's age gap issues, all are being worked through in therapy disguised as a documentary. The families are never actually together as much as the show suggests. They just recount their occasional meetups and therapy sessions where a professional helps them process their dysfunction. When characters look at the camera during awkward moments, they're actually looking at their therapist for help. The show's saccharine ending with everyone hugging and learning lessons, every episode mirrors the forced resolution of therapy homework. Cam and Mitchell's adoption of Lily was originally a different documentary. This theory claims Modern Family is actually a second documentary that expanded from a smaller project about international adoption. The very first scene shows Cam and Mitchell on a plane returning from Vietnam with baby Lily. That's not a natural starting point for a family documentary unless filming had already begun for a different purpose. The theory suggests a documentary crew was following Cam and Mitchell's adoption journey, filming their trip to Vietnam and their first months as parents. When the crew met the extended Pritchett-Dunphy family and saw their dynamics, they pivoted to a larger show about modern families in general. This explains why the show drops the mockumentary format more and more as seasons progress, because they moved away from the original documentary premise. It also explains why Lily seems so aware of cameras compared to other kids. She's literally been filmed since infancy. The crew already had backstory on Cam and Mitchell when filming began, which is why their relationship feels lived in from episode 1. Modern Family wasn't planned as a long-term project. It grew organically from adoption documentary footage that was too entertaining to limit to just 2 people. Phil and Claire never actually had a proper wedding. Wait, this one's actually true, but the implications are darker than the show admits. Claire got pregnant with Haley, they eloped quickly, and spent their entire marriage without that foundational romantic moment. Phil tries to fix this with a vow renewal in Hawaii, but the fact remains they built their entire life on an accidental pregnancy and a rushed decision. The theory suggests their relationship is held together by obligation more than genuine compatibility. Phil makes constant jokes about Claire being uptight, and she's perpetually annoyed by his childishness. They stay together because of the kids, and because they've invested too much time to quit. Every anniversary reminds them of what they never had. When Phil mentions their wedding song in one episode, but later they reveal they never had a wedding, it shows Phil romanticizes a past that doesn't exist. Claire's controlling nature stems from never feeling like she had a choice in her life path. She had to marry Phil, had to have kids, had to give up her own ambitions. Phil's desperate need to be seen as a cool dad comes from knowing he trapped Claire into a life she didn't plan. Their vow renewal isn't sweet. It's sad because they're trying to create a foundation 20 years too late. The theory reframes their relationship as 2 people making the best of a situation they never chose. Haley's pregnancy was a trap. This theory gets dark fast, suggesting Haley deliberately got pregnant to keep Dylan around after Andy broke her heart. When Andy left, Haley regressed completely, dating Dylan again despite years of growth. She knew Dylan was simple, devoted, and would never leave her like Andy did. An unexpected pregnancy conveniently happens right when Dylan might have moved on to something better. Haley, who's been shown as manipulative and strategic throughout the series, suddenly has an accident that permanently ties Dylan to her. She spent years watching her parents' shotgun marriage work out, learning that pregnancy creates permanent commitment. The theory argues Haley saw Dylan as safe, as someone who would never challenge her or make her grow, and engineered the pregnancy to secure that comfort. This explains why she seems almost relieved about the twins despite the terrible timing. Dylan never questions it. He just accepts his fate because that's who he is. Claire suspects something, but never confronts it because she did the same thing to Phil decades earlier. Haley's ending isn't character regression. It's calculated self-sabotage by someone terrified of abandonment. She destroyed her own potential because Andy proved that love means risking pain, and Dylan proved that mediocrity means never getting hurt. Manny is gay and overcompensating. This theory claims Manny's exaggerated interest in women, fashion, and sophistication masks his true sexuality. From a young age, he's obsessed with appearing cultured, dressing in suits, writing poetry, pursuing older women who never take him seriously. The theory suggests this is all performance. Manny's closest relationship is with his uncle Mitchell, who also struggled with coming out to his father. Jay often compares Manny to Mitchell, noticing their similar interests in clothing and the arts. Manny's constant rejection by women doesn't discourage him because deep down, he doesn't actually want them. His pursuit of the feminine ideal is him trying to become what he thinks he should desire. The show treats Manny's sophistication as comedy, but it's actually desperation to prove his masculinity to Jay, who already failed to accept one gay son for years. Manny heard stories about Mitchell's difficult coming out and decided to bury his own truth. His ladies' man persona is armor. When he goes to college and the show stops following him closely, the theory suggests that's when he finally explores his real identity away from Jay's judgment. Gloria suspects but loves him too much to force a confession. Jay's acceptance of Mitchell later in the series gives Manny hope he might be accepted too eventually. The entire series is biased by the person editing the documentary footage. This theory argues someone with an agenda is controlling what we see and how we see it. The show's portrayal of each family shifts dramatically over seasons based on who the mysterious editor favors. Early seasons paint Cam as flamboyant and Mitchell as uptight. Later, they become more rounded. Phil goes from lovable goofball to bumbling idiot depending on the episode. The theory suggests the documentary editor has personal relationships with the family, and their bias shows through editing choices. Maybe they favor Claire because she's organized and articulate, so her perspective dominates. Maybe they don't like Haley, so they cut her nuanced moments and keep her looking vapid. The talking heads could be manipulated, cutting answers from different questions together to create narratives that didn't exist. Real documentaries do this constantly. The families might have thought they were participating in an honest portrayal, but the editor turned them into caricatures for entertainment. This explains massive character inconsistencies and why people act completely different from episode to episode. We're not seeing objective truth. We're seeing weaponized footage cut to tell specific stories. The families probably sued when they saw the final product. Gloria married Jay for the money and stayed for different reasons. This theory claims Gloria's gold digger reputation is actually true, but her character development is real. She met Jay when he was wealthy, and she was struggling as a single mother. The age gap, the lifestyle upgrade, the timing all suggest financial motivation. But the theory argues something genuine developed over time that surprised even Gloria. She expected to play a role, be arm candy for a rich old man, then inherit everything when he died. Instead, she fell in love with his family, connected with Jay's vulnerability under his tough exterior, and built a real life. Her guilt about the initial deception drives her overcompensation in being a perfect wife. Jay probably knows or suspected the truth from the beginning, but didn't care because he was lonely and she made him feel young. Their relationship is transactional that became transformational. Manny knows his mother married for security, which is why he never questions the relationship despite the obvious issues. When Jay writes his will, Gloria probably gets more than the kids. Not because Jay is stupid, but because he's grateful she stayed when she could have left. The theory makes their relationship more complex. Two people who started with ulterior motives but built something real anyway. Phil's magic obsession is arrested development from trauma. This theory suggests Phil's childlike wonder and magic fascination is actually him frozen at the age of some childhood trauma. He never matured past a certain point emotionally, using magic and pranks to avoid dealing with adult pain. His relationship with his father, Frank, is warm but surface level, suggesting something went unspoken between them. Phil's desperate need to be the cool dad stems from never feeling adequate as a son. His magic shop dream represents wanting to live in a world where problems disappear with tricks and misdirection. Claire enables this because Phil's immaturity means she maintains control in the relationship. The theory points to moments where Phil's mask slips and genuine darkness shows through, quickly covered by a joke or pratfall. His fear of confrontation and conflict avoidance suggests someone who learned early that emotional honesty brings pain. Magic became his language because it's safe, predictable, and has clear rules. Unlike real life, when his dad dies, Phil barely processes it, jumping immediately into celebration and distraction. The theory frames Phil as deeply wounded but functional, using elaborate goofiness to avoid ever facing his own psychology.